my name is Jay. I show you how to get a decent job in America as non-native English speaker at the age of 40s. 이 영상은 영어로 진행합니다. 한글 자막이 있으니까 필요하신 분은 한글 자막을 켜주세요. I'm 44 years old and I got hired in America last year when I was 43. And I prepared this video to check employee applicants' point of view. And on the other side, the point of view of the owner of a company. So you can see multi-dimensional aspects. It'll help you. If you are a person who is looking for a job, if you think this video was helpful, then please subscribe on my channel and leave a like. Just in case, if you don't like it anymore, you can just unsubscribe and taking a like away. I don't know how to do. I invited Peter to interview with him to offer some useful information for the foreigners who want to come to America to look for a job. And I think this information can be really helpful for even for the Americans looking for a job in America. So,
yeah, Jay, that's quite possible. Mm-hmm. I will say this, that obviously I'm not an immigration specialist. Mm-hmm. I'm a wine guy. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you how we did it. It's not just the wine business. I have some ideas and therefore advice for anybody looking for a job as to how to go about doing it.
Mm-hmm. And you are an employer and you are the owner of a company.
That is true.
And I'm your employee.
Well, then why don't you act like an employee?
Because I learned it from you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is an English test result necessary for a foreigner to be employed in the United States?
I don't know that there is specifically a test, an English proficiency test that you have to pass. However, when you apply for an h1b visa, part of that is you are going to go to the embassy, and the embassy is going to ask you some questions. And if you have no fluency in English, or at least no facility in English, the embassy is going to be a little bit concerned as to how are you going to manage in the United States, how useful will you be in the United States to an employer?
I think I have a lot of disadvantages work as a foreigner in the United States, because I came here as a foreigner, but I have to work with Americans. When I worked as an intern at your company 6 years ago, I saw there were only Americans working at your company. And I was the only foreigner existing at your company. And if you hired one more American, I think it would have been much easier for you, because there would have been no paperwork, no language barrier. And but why did you try to hire me?
Do you mean now in the context of as an intern, or now, the position that you're in now?
As an employee?
As an employee, that's a little bit more difficult. Mm-hmm. The idea is that if you are offering relatively high-level jobs, as H1B jobs are, that you would hire somebody who's at the level of a bachelor as a minimum, maybe even a master's degree, so that they can add some real value to your attempts at whatever it is you want to do in your company. And I needed a business development manager. And I was looking around and I saw the explosion of growth in Asia, of course in China, but also in Japan and also in South Korea. So now you come along, you are one, educated in wine. Two, you are educated in the wine business. Three, you have not one, but multiple high-level qualifications at the level of masters or higher. And four, you speak Korean, obviously, native language, and Chinese and Japanese. So if I'm going to think about starting a company that's going to export American wine to Asia, with all of those kind of things, so just technically, you were a great fit for the job. And you satisfied the requirements of the h1b, both in terms of your level of education and in terms of the fact that it would not be possible for me at short notice to find somebody with your skill and knowledge of wine and wine business who also is fluent in the major languages of Asia. Or at least, if not all the major languages of Asia, those where we perceive that there's a very great possibility for the wine business.
There is a special expression when you talk about H1B visa. You say an aliens or something. What is it?
So essentially, yes, it's sort of kind of quite weird and a strange use of the word. But when we talk about an H1 visa, at least I do, we talk about a visa that is granted to quote unquote gifted aliens, which is all the foregoing that I just said.
You hired a lawyer to sponsor me.
No.
Okay.
Tear it down.
You hired me a lawyer to sponsor for my working visa. But there are some people who don't want to hire any lawyer because it costs quite some money, and they do it by themselves. So there are two questions. Why did you employ a lawyer, and what kind of documents or process did you have to go through to call me here?
Why did I approach a lawyer? It's very difficult to get H1B visas or any kind of visa to come and work in the United States. We understand the very real interest of the United States government for making sure that foreigners do not take the jobs away from well-qualified Americans. But when we do have a very good case, we need, as in your case, we need to put that case forward in the best light possible. And so one goes to a professional.
And what kind
And
of
what documents?
Yeah.
Okay.
or process?
You know, there's a very serious set of documents. The lawyers know what they are. But those are the documents that attest to all the things that the United States government is looking for. Your education, your experience, and those other attributes for which there is not a qualified American ready to take the job.
Did it cost money to sponsor me?
Yes, it costs money to sponsor you. Some of the money, of course, goes to the lawyer, and that's the job. I mean, obviously, you do a job, you get paid for the job. But the United States government also charges you money. They charge you processing fees and all the rest of it. And there's another very interesting fee as well that they charge, and that money is supposed to be used, I'm sure it is, to retrain Americans. The United States government charges a fee effectively to be put into a fund that assists with the retraining of Americans, so that sometime down the road, should I need another business development specialist with the kind of attributes that you have, there will be Americans trained, and I will be less likely to need to hire a foreigner. So the other side of it is that when we apply for an H1B visa, and we bring somebody like Jay into the country, the man is like a gun, cocked and ready to go. He's trained, he's experienced, and he has a very expensive education, which none of us had to pay for. So in many ways, bringing you into this country, aside from the fact that you may or may not be preventing an American from getting a job, bringing you into this country is a great win for the country, because we didn't have to spend a cent on your education. You arrived, you're fully trained, like a loaded gun, cocked and ready to fire.
What is the most difficult part to sponsor somebody for working visa?
I think the most difficult part of this is the timing. Because even though H1B visas are typically granted to people who have, in the short term, skills that are not available via the US market and American citizens in the short term. And yet, you need to plan in advance what you are going to do with your H1b visa employee because it takes time.
It took 3 years for me to come here. In the first crisis, it happened when American economy got so much well, and the competition to get a working visa was very high. That was the reason why I failed it for...
You just didn't get into the lottery.
No.
Yeah.
So I lost 1 year. Second crisis happened when the visa got issued. Actually, I was in the middle of doing my own business because I was in early 40s and I couldn't wait for another 3 years, just waiting for the working visa. Then the last crisis happened when the current US government became very negative to hiring foreigners. So regardless of these 3 crises, it was realized. And what do you think the main reason was?
That you got your visa.
Yeah.
I think the main reason was that we had an honest and legitimate requirement for you. You are exactly who we said you are in terms of your capabilities, your experience. To put it in American slang, we got it because you are the real deal. We also got it because you got into the lottery that time. You had originally been here as an intern. The one thing for sure that the United States government is not interested in is having you here as an intern, which allows you to learn in America for a very short period of time, somewhere from 3 to 6 months, and then go back to your country and take the knowledge with you of America to another country. It was not to prepare you for coming back to America for a job. That would be almost considered to be a wrong use of the internship program. And so they don't want to encourage people who have internships to either stay or to come back and apply for H1b visas.
So probably for the people who want to do internship in a foreign country, they'd better choose another country, not the United States, to do that.
You know, I don't want to say that. So for example, because you came here and in 6 months, you did a study here, you finished your master's, you successfully underwent your thesis examination, but you also learned a great deal about America, you improved your English, you understood wine business in America, and you got a sense of what perhaps American exporters were looking for. So I don't think it was a bad idea to have done an internship here and then to want to come back as an employee. I don't think that was a bad idea. I just think you need to be ready to answer those questions.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you do an internship somewhere else, for sure, that issue then will not arise. But then your familiarity with America, your sort of instantaneous use, your immediate use to an American company may be slightly less than somebody who has done an internship here. I think overall, I would say to you, Jay, you didn't really know you would have wanted to come back and work here. I didn't get a sense for what kind of a quality of individual you were until you were here, how I would get on with you, how I would learn to appreciate your values, your knowledge, your passion, and all of the kind of things that make you the kind of person you are, your vision, your entrepreneurial spirit, even though you work for me, which is very important, I think, in your role as business development specialist. So I think in your case, even though it may have made it slightly more difficult, having been an intern was a great help, particularly since we would never have met each other.
You are a master of wine, leading wine industry in the world. And you are also the owner of a company. So what would you list as the most important elements when you look for somebody to hire?
So, yeah, that's a great question. And I'm sure that I'm not going to spend too long on some of those answers because I'm sure there are similar answers for any employers who are looking to hire anybody, no matter what the field is. Obviously, I believe that passion is important. If you're going to be going into a specific industry, have the passion for that industry. Passion also implies knowledge. It's very, very important for me that somebody who comes in has great integrity. Another thing, promotability. Yes, of course, my company sells wine for a living and I need good salespeople. But ideally, I would like salespeople that I can promote. Someone that I can promote to sales manager so that that person can help me to hire and train new salespeople to increase our reach. And then I look at resume. Does this person jump around in jobs a lot? Have you had 7 jobs in the last 3 years, which is way too many for me? It means you don't really have a commitment to any one of them. I don't want you perhaps to have had, if you're a young person, only 1 job in the last 7 years. That maybe suggests that you could be a little bit too complacent. At least in my company, for you to become truly productive, successful, and part of the team, you can't just give it a few months. In your mind, when you come to work for me, you have to make a commitment to be with me for a minimum of 9 months to a year. And only by that end of that time will both of us know whether this is going to work for both of us. So those for me are the most important attributes. And as you can see, a lot of them are the same attributes for any other employer.
Wow. What an answer. You talk well. Impressed.
That's right, I'm a great talker.
That's true.
Great talker. But now I need you to do, because I don't do, I just talk.
I'm still learning English, Peter.
Your English is, you know what, if there's anything is going to stop us, it's not going to be your English.
Thank you. I think so too.
It's not the English. Your English is absolutely fine.
Thank you. We did our first interview when I wanted to do my internship in the United States on Skype. So it was a long distance call.
Right.
Yeah. And what was the most decisive reason that you decided to hire me as intern?
If somebody wants to come and work for me, they need to know my business. Meaning, I'm in the wine business. You need to know a little bit about wine business. But you also need to know about my business. Meaning, a little bit about my company. When you contact me and say, I want to come and work for you, and I say, why? And you say, because, you know, I'm the very, very best at what I do, and all people always say that, so it's, you know, nobody contacts you and says, I'm not really good at what I do, but I'd like to come and work for you. We're almost at full employment in the United States. It is still not easy to get a job. It is still not easy to have somebody look at your resume. Never mind get back to you and say, thank you for sending me your resume. We'll put it in the open file for this amount of time or for the future. 9 times out of 10, you put in 200 resumes and you don't get an answer. If you do get an answer, be ready.
Please presume that you are interviewing with somebody through the camera. He's looking at you on the opposite side. So we are playing a role-playing game. And what would be 3 or 4 questions that you would ask?
Okay. So I would first establish, obviously, that the person has the necessary credentials. In other words, that you have the kind of experience that I need. Okay. Once I've already established that, then I would say to them, why do you want to work for me? What do you bring me that is going to be so beneficial to my business? And how long do you plan on staying with me? Where do you see your future if you join my company?
Thank you.
Now that I'm asking all those questions, and listening to the answers, I realize I never asked you enough questions. I think you need to leave.
I'm gonna leave. Your role is done, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
For today, Peter.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
So we listened to Peter. I'm still drinking. I'm tasting, not drinking. There were some common opinions between me and Peter, between the employee applicant and the owner of a company. The first one is English ability. If you want to work in America, then you should speak English. You don't need to be perfectly fluent, but at least you need to communicate with people without that much problem. I had quite a problem 1 year ago, but I got much better now in 1 year, and I'm so sure in 3 or 4 years I will be much better. Probably with a better language skill, I could develop a better chance here. And the second one is making a difference. You should be different from somebody else. You shouldn't be the same. Probably you could start from the same base, but when you get upgraded, then you should make a certain difference, a definite difference. And the third one is that you have to have a great interest in something, okay? Because to develop yourself, you need an interest. The fourth one, consider a relationship precious. So don't ignore a relationship. Peter didn't say it during the interview, but a few days ago, we discussed about that. And then at the time, Peter told me, in reality, in the hidden side of the society in America, not only in America, probably, people can get a decent job when they know somebody at that place, in the company. And the fifth one, spend a good amount of time to prepare something, because you need to develop your skill. And to develop your skill, you need to invest a certain amount of time, a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of probably money. Nothing is gained for free. That's very simple, but it's an absolute truth. The sixth one, find your own value and develop it to make it bigger. That will make you very special, and people would be interested in you to hire you. It's not only from my personal opinion. These are common opinions between me and the owner of a company. So I think you'd better believe it. Was my video good for you? If yes, please subscribe on my channel and leave a like. If you think it wasn't, you can leave my channel, but please with the door open, because you are always welcome back. I also can offer you the tips to study in European countries to get 3 different master's degrees in 3 different European countries for free, totally free. If there are something that you want to know, then please leave those things on comments. Then I will consult them to make the next video. And thanks for watching, and be always happy with wine. 이럴 땐 이 와인 네이버 밴드로 놀러 오시면 와인을 잘 몰라도 편하고 싸게 사실 수 있도록 제가 많이 도와드립니다. 다들 만족하시고 좋아하시더라고요. 가입하는 게 싫으시면 wineking.co.kr로 놀러 오세요.